Awesome. So CPI numbers just hit, and they are down to 7.7% from the 8.2%. And we are seeing a run-up in the market currently. ETH is well over 1,300, and that doesn't sound that high unless you've been living under a rock and just now realized that FTT has crashed.
Crashed, I don't think, is the right term. This is Enron levels of insolvency. The fact that they were playing fast and loose with the funds that they had is a very discouraging turn of events.
Agreed. The way that FTX has just printed and reprinted the FTT token to oblivion, you'd think that Sam Bankman-Fried works for the United States government.
I mean, a big part of crypto is transparency. And you have a lot of corporations that do not want to live up to the transparency that is available and is inherent in crypto.
So with these, the other platforms, would you say Crypto.com transparent or not?
I feel Crypto.com is fairly transparent. A lot of the more well-established platforms have actually came out in the last 24 to 48 hours and provided proof of the reserves that they have available. I know Kraken did. I know that Coinbase actually, since they're a publicly traded company, they have to have a list of all of their reserves put out, not only because of instances like this, but because of like quarterly, because of having to keep all that information for their investors.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel about Binance? Obviously, CZ, who is a stone cold killer that really kind of got all this rocking and rolling. How do you feel about Binance and how he handles the transparency within his company?
I feel that historically, Binance has had some accusations of not being as transparent as they could be. There have been accusations of insider trading or pumping and dumping various assets. But when it comes to their platform itself, I feel that the platform is very transparent, but there have been accusations of some of the leadership not being as transparent.
Well, you know, one of the things that I remember, and may have been 2018 timeframe when Binance got hacked,
Yeah.
CZ immediately hit the airwaves or the Twitter sphere to present that to everyone, to let everybody know where it was at. And I appreciated that then, and I feel like he has been the only one that is like, hey, your funds are safe, and they really were safe, and he did what he said he was going to do.
Funds are safe.
That's right.
I feel that missteps in a corporation, which we can look at this and realize that these are corporations. They may not be at the same level as, say, some of the banking corporations in the United States, but they do have a structure. They have set up systems to deal with this much influence and money, and there will always be missteps when you have those types of situations. And I feel that Binance, because it's been around for so many ups and downs, you don't do that being unsafe.
Well, it's funny that you bring in the banking system, because that's the problem, is that these platforms are, in a sense, trying to be a bank, but not be a bank at the same time. The fractional reserve element that you and I discussed pre-show is exactly what this problem is.
The fact that they were trying to do fractional reserves, and then just the idea that this is high risk, high reward. What other companies have done this, made millions or billions of dollars, and then turned around and been like, hey, all the funds are here. Everything's good. No harm, no foul. And not the one, but this time when it was caught, how it's affected the entire market. So I have a question for you then.
Fire away.
What would you want to come out of this situation? Because I've seen a lot of big names push for more regulation, making this more mainstream. We have to protect people's assets. What do you think?
I think that is true in a sense. Craig and I have had this discussion as well, where there needs to be some type of regulation. I don't even necessarily think that it should be on the cryptocurrencies themselves. Let's talk about the business element of it, because for me, there's no way that it's right that a company where they're holding your assets, you have to turn them over to them in order for them to do the exchanges. I mean, complete turnover, and that's why people are losing it, because you have to give that to them. That's where the whole "not your keys, not your crypto" part comes from. I don't think that that's right, and them having complete control of everything, that's not the right way.
Well, you mentioned earlier transparency. The blockchain, this ledger that we're able to see every single transaction, when you have atomic swaps where you can trade other tokens on the chain, it makes exchanges very superfluous. We don't need them with the technology going the way it is. But then you look at, where's the money going to come from? Kraken, the CEO tweeted out that he was happy living a simple life, just taking his share of percents off of trades, and he didn't feel that his company needed to be making big investments. And that's very transparent, but that also means that Kraken is settling for less profit.
Do you think that puts them at risk?
No, I feel that is the smart thing to do. If they're willing to settle for small, long-term profits, that means that they're going to be able to be here for the long haul. Because then when there's good times, they'll be making their profit. When there's bad times, they won't be losing as much.
Well, but because they won't have that war chest of funds, they're not going to be able to withstand as much.
Well, that's if they were having to put their own money into it. If they're just making these trades for other people, you make money both going up and coming down, because people are going to be trading out of it and saying, I got to get out, I'm going to trade. Well, they still get their 0.05 or point whatever percent, even if the price is going up and down. And long term, as long as crypto is around, that means they'll be making money.
Does Kraken have a native token?
I don't believe they do.
I don't think so either. And if that's the case, they're really the only one that doesn't. I know KuCoin has their KCS token. Crypto.com has Crow. Binance has BNB. FTX had FTT, which is actually up 100% right this second after the CPI numbers came out, which puts it at $5 and roughly down 25% of what it was 3 days ago. But if Kraken doesn't have a native token, I think that drastically lowers their risk as compared to the other ones. I guess crypto or Coinbase doesn't, but they have.
Coinbase has their own dollar.
They have their own stable coin.
Yeah. So Coinbase doesn't have a token, but Coinbase, I feel, really has a first mover advantage, which we've off mic talked about first mover advantage. And I believe Binance was the first to have its own token, and they have done gangbusters with that. The idea that
I think they've used it properly, though.
I think they have too. And I know a lot of people have pushed, well, these tokens outside of the exchanges don't have any value. And then Binance pushed out, we're going to have our own chain as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm really big into the technology side of things. I really love looking at where are all of these platforms and where is crypto going in the big picture. And I don't know how utility is there for some of these chains like BNB.
Let's go back to the stablecoin part of it.
Stablecoins.
Because I think that stablecoin element with Coinbase does put them at some risk as well. In that if there's a depegging there, there's a problem. Because with FTX, they own an ungodly amount of Tether, which could absolutely destroy the market. We're not talking about wrecked. We're talking gone if Tether has an issue. Right now, Tron is depegging. They're at like 95 cents with their stable coin. That's the algorithmic stable coin. It's having some issues. So I'm wondering if that's not more of a problem because it's a stable coin versus a native token that's used for other things within their own platform.
My question is it, because I don't believe that Coinbase is algorithmically pegged. It
Agreed.
Is 1-to-1 backed, is what they claimed.
Right, but wasn't part of the issue when they originally did that was that it was 1-to-1, but that also included assets as well. So real estate as well. And at some point, I know that they were looking at getting it set back up to where it's actually dollars and not including assets.
I know Tether has had that problem. I want to say that Coinbase has pushed hard that theirs is 1-to-1 and they have the dollars to back up all of their stable coin. So these stable coins are great until they're not. I've been in the crypto sphere. I remember on the G board, the initial coin offering from Ether, which I did not partake in, that from way back in the day, Tether has been pushed as, oh, it's 1-to-1. Well, it's not. Well, it's 1-to-1 plus assets, but it's not. It's 1-to-1 plus assets, plus we have loans out that can cover everything, except when it doesn't.
That's exactly what the problem with FTX was, because they were using their own asset as collateral with the FTT token as collateral for other loans, and they're backing it out with nothing. There was nothing to back that other than the demand that they themselves created.
I think there's this old quote that don't steal because the U.S. government doesn't like competition. And I feel like it goes the same way with just printing tokens. You do not have the means to support yourself when you're just like, we'll print 1 billion tokens and then it'll definitely have value because it has value now. That's not how anything works, because you will get caught with this type of transparency. People were able to see, there's so many more of these tokens being produced. You were able to look at the chains and see that this was coming. And when that news broke, all hell broke loose.
So does this encourage you or discourage you right this second from getting back into the market today?
This is nowhere near the biggest downturn I've seen in the market. I've been through some huge dips, and I don't feel that this is overall going to destroy the market.
Do you think that this is the bottom?
If this was a stock and it was being traded, they definitely would have pulled the breakers already. They would have shut it down.
SEC would have been like, throw the breakers. It's too much.
Go home.
Yeah.
Go home. Y'all are done for the day. And since we're in the Wild West, we don't have that. So I don't know. It's a new day. Maybe new information is going to come out. I feel that a lot of people are going to be hitting numbers that they have predetermined and say, I need to get this dip in while I can and get ready for when it rockets back up. But I've seen that happen, and then the next day another bloodbath. Mm-hmm. So you have to, I think it is know your limits. Know your limits.
Well, for you, what limits have you set? What sounds good right now? Where are you willing to go in?
I've already gone in a little bit, but if Ether dipped below $1,000, I would feel that would be a good place to get in. And people always complain when it was pushing almost $1,800. Oh man, if I had gotten in when it was $900, but people are irrational.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other tokens besides ETH that you're looking at right now?
I really am I have more faith in Ether right now than a lot of projects, especially since a lot of projects are Ether derivative, either being based on Ether or literally being built on top of it. So Ether is the main one I look at, but I think Bitcoin's going to be around for a long time. But I feel that Ether is more likely to have a good value going forward.
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat as you are, just in general. If I'm getting into anything in the next day or two, it's strong projects only. If this isn't the bottom of it, and this is just a temporary retracement, and then we really get crashed in the next couple of days, I want my money to be in an asset that I believe in long term. So for me, it's ETH, Matic. I like BNB here, and Bitcoin. Those are the four that I'm looking to get into.
What makes a strong project to you?
A project that can withstand downtime, a project that has money available currently, utility. I like the aspect of utility. You mentioned that earlier, and for me, I think that Matic is there. I know it's built on ETH. It's a layer 2, but I think that it's still got a lot of action coming. So that's definitely one that I'm looking at, and it's fairly cheap. I called it last week to get in at 94.8. It ripped up to 127 in the course of a couple of days. Nothing has fundamentally changed with Matic. It's just in the market that's getting pulled back. So I believed in Matic at 98 cents. I believe in it now at 92. It was down to 70 yesterday, and I was looking to get in at 54 was where I had my execution set at for me to hop in, but it never got that low. But I'm still looking to get in, and this is a lower price. I bought more this morning.
I have what I feel to be a well-established poor track record with crypto.
Well, if you're in it long enough, you're going to have your misses.
So I got my start in crypto, way back. Am I allowed to say shitcoin?
Fire away. Everybody knows that term.
I got in mining shitcoin. I don't even think it exists. Pascal coin. I mined that. I made 1 Bitcoin in profit, and I sold that Bitcoin for $900 because I felt like that was a lot.
Learn from your mistakes.
I've learned nothing. So there was when KuCoin and another exchange was being set up as being a fee sharing exchanges. I was like, these are very similar sounding projects, and I chose the wrong one. And so I've become more risk adverse as I go forward. I love me some Algorand. To me, that is a project that I feel has some really good underlying technology. I really enjoy how it's set up, but at the same time, it is not a moneymaker for me.
Well, are you looking at Algo right now? Is it something that you'd be interested in at these low prices?
I am utilizing Algo. I have some set up on different exchanges. I'm getting interest on it. I have some farming set up. So I'm more interested in utilizing tokens than just holding. And so Algo's a token that I feel I can utilize and be able to stack it, make some growth on it.
Well, it's around 31 cents right now.
I believe
looks like it's been down to a quarter.
I believe my original buy-in for a lot of my algo was in the $1 to $2 range. So established track record.
Again, well, that's what I'm saying. If you believed in it at $2, why not reset it?
I still have it. I do not try to buy high, sell low. That's not a good way to live your life.
Man, words of wisdom.
So
you're currently in the market with multiple assets, and are you interested in? Is there any point at which you're going to sell, or are you just going to let it ride now?
Especially my Ether, which I have staked, that is sitting there earning interest, and that's something that the price of that interest may go down, but the amount of Ether I'm earning is not. So that's the thing. When you get the same amount of Ether, and it's like, oh, it's only 30 cents, and then down the road when Ether's doubled again, it's like, oh, that was 75 cents.
Well, I mean, I agree. I completely agree. Why not reload right now and go ahead and restake Ether at this lower price? I mean, if you think it's going to be back over 5,000 or 6,000 at any point in time, why not go ahead and get more at this point, set it and let it go?
That's definitely a smart investing move. I think I've moved a little bit in there, and I'm going to probably be doing some dollar cost averaging, trying to get in and just keep staking away. And I really think that with the upgrades coming forward with Ether, that they're going to have a lot of opportunities to continue to grow.
I wonder how much ETH got burned over the last 72 hours.
I mean, it's got to be a lot because people have been trying to move stuff.
As many people that were buying and selling, I can't even imagine how much was on leverage. I mean, so with that being said, I mean, I can't imagine how many people got liquidated, how many people that came in to buy it up. It has to be an exorbitant amount. And I think that we'll look back on this and see this as a big spike in the total amount of ETH that got burned in a 72-hour period. It's got to be a face-melting amount.
I'm pulling up a website called ultrasound.money, and it has a lot of this information about, it says in the last hour, Ether, if it continued at this rate, negative 2.69% per year. That's the current rate in the last hour.
Wow.
Which that's a huge amount to be deflationary for as big as a market cap as Ether has.
Man, that's a lot of ETH getting burned off.
I mean, since the merge, I think it's at 5,834.67 Ether burned. That's deflationary is a word that likes to get thrown around a lot in the crypto sphere, but having projects that have that amount of exchanging happen and the amount of buildup on it, that is a huge thing to be a deflationary project at that size.
Man, well, so your non-professional investment advice would be to?
My non-professional investment advice would be to invest in probably Ether right now, and as much as you feel safe in Bitcoin. Those are the big projects. They're going to be the safest. You probably won't see as big a return on some of these smaller projects. High risk, high reward. The more risk you're willing to put out, the higher chance you have of having a really big return, and the higher chance you have of being burned.
So what you're saying is stay safe out there, know your limits, and RSI before you
RSI before you buy. There we go.
RSI before you buy, and that'll pretty much do it for us for today. So thanks for tuning in. I'm Al.
I'm Benton.
Signing off.
These smaller projects, high risk, high reward. The more risk you're willing to put out, the higher chance you have of having a really big return, and the higher chance you have of being burned.
So what you're saying is stay safe out there, know your limits, and RSI before you
RSI before you buy. There we go.
RSI before you buy, and that'll pretty much do it for us for today. So thanks for tuning in. I'm Al.
I'm Benton.
Signing off.